Hey everybody, my name is Trina. I am a 49-year-old mother of one son who's 17. I've worked in healthcare for about 25 years. I've been a nurse for 12 years. Currently, I work as a care manager here in Kansas City, and I go and visit patients in their home, and I do a lot of education with them about their chronic conditions and how to keep them out of the hospital and safe at home. And I love my job. It's very rewarding. But my journey with weight has always been an issue since I was in my early 20s. In high school, I was always athletic. I swam, played volleyball, softball, very active, but I still struggled with my weight. Of course, back in the 80s, everybody needed to be a size 2, and I was lucky if I was a size 10, although solid, muscular. But, you go and you leave high school, and then all the organized sports stops, and real life begins. And I traveled with my first husband because he was in the military, and I was left alone a lot without my family in different states. And I've always kind of been, a emotional eater, and so I started gaining weight in my 20s. I think I was probably 160 when I got married to my first husband, and then I gained weight, which, I hated. Anyway, I've tried every diet, just like a lot of you out there, everything from Jenny Craig to Slim for Life. I never did Weight Watchers, though. Tried Fin, dangerous for your heart. And, oh gosh, I've tried all vegetables, all fruit, you name it, pretty much everything. I've tried it. I've had family support throughout the years, with any new plan that I had to try to lose weight. They would always support me, and, sometimes even financially support me to do it. And, I love them for that, for trying to help me. I did do Atkins and was pretty successful with that for a few months, but, it's hard because when you have a one-dimensional type of nutrition, you can do anything for a while, but long-term, it has to be something you can really stick to. So although I did lose about 34 pounds on that, I gave that up after about 4 or 5 months. So let's see, back to my quick story. It's going to take too long. So I got divorced, I got remarried, and then I had my son. So I'm twice divorced, and that's fine. I've been single for a while, and I don't mind just concentrating on me for the first time in a very, very long time. But when I was pregnant, my weight, when I delivered, I was at 292 pounds and very sick. I had preeclampsia and had to have an emergency C-section, had been on some bed rest, and so really gained that weight at the end. And almost died afterwards. They thought that I might have had a PE, a pulmonary embolism, to my lung. So I ended up back in the hospital, and they diuresed, gave me IV Lasix and diuresed 51 pounds off me. I thought, this is the best diet never. Can I just stay another week, please? But of course they discharged me, and I left at 241 pounds, which was a little bit less than my pre-pregnancy weight. So that was in 1998. So it's been a long time. In fact, my son has never seen me thin, ever in his whole life. Right now, my weight, I've been doing keto for, this is my 8-week update, and my weight is at 258.4. So when I hit 241, that'll be a huge milestone for me, because I will not have been that weight since 1998, 17 years ago. So I'm looking forward to hitting a milestone like that. The next one is the lower weight that I remember being back in the early 2000s was 221. Why do I remember these numbers? Well, because they're significant to me in my past. I was working at Children's Mercy Hospital, and there was a group of us that went to Branson in the fall. And I can't even remember if it was 2002 or 2003, but this is when I had done Atkins, and I had gotten down to 221. So I didn't stay there because it's really hard to maintain that weight on that kind of a diet for me. So obviously I gained weight again. But another milestone would be 1992, when I met my second husband. Before we got married, I was at 202. So another milestone. So I am like trying to hit milestones here. I have 5 more pounds to go, and I will have lost 50 pounds since March of 2015. So let's get to how my journey started with keto, which I stumbled upon. Back in March of this year, I was working one day, and I started to have severe pain in my right flank. And I knew what this pain was. It was a kidney stone. I've had them before. So I stopped at McDonald's. I was on the road seeing patients. So I pulled into a McDonald's, went into the bathroom, and I thought I was going to get sick. And after about 20 minutes, I got back in my car, and when I left the parking lot, I really did almost vomit from the pain. So I canceled the rest of my day's patients, and I went home and crawled into bed. So about 12 hours later, I finally passed that kidney stone. I was so exhausted, had been nauseated the whole day, couldn't keep any fluids down, and was just pretty miserable. But at 11:30 at night, I was so thankful to finally be out of some pain that I took a really, really hot shower, and then I poured myself back into bed, and I think I fell asleep. But something wasn't right. I thought probably I had a urinary tract infection from this kidney stone. And so, you know, to make a bad situation worse, the company I work for that week of all weeks wanted a drug test on all the nurses doing care management. And it had to be that week. So here it is now, you know, Thursday, and I'm passing a kidney stone. I have to go do this urine test on Friday. And I'm not keeping anything down. So I'm dehydrated. I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to be able to go and pee in this cup. So the next morning, I just started sipping on water as best I could, and I got into the lab, and I left the urine. Luckily, I think I had like that much. But it was enough to do the urine test. So I wasn't feeling good. I did everything I could to just get up and drive to that lab, which was only 15 minutes away. So I did that, came back again, you know, just trying to drink, trying to rest. And the only thing that really made me feel better was taking these hot showers. So I probably spent so much money in water these few days, but you do what you got to do. And I knew I couldn't take anything for pain. Not that I had anything, but if I needed something, I could have got it. Because kidney stone pain is like worse than childbirth, if anybody's ever had one. So now it's Friday, I'm resting. The next day was a birthday celebration for my sister, and me and my mom, my sister, my aunt, my cousin, we were all gonna go get pedicures, and my niece-in-law. So we went and got pedicures, and then we went to Panera to have lunch, and then we were gonna go see a movie, Cinderella. Yes, Cinderella. My sister, who's 40-some years old, wants to see Cinderella, but hey, it's her birthday. Anyway, so I get up, and, you know, I get ready, and I was just exhausted. Fatigued is beyond fatigued. But I wanted to go because I had helped set it up, and it's my sister, so love her, want to go. So we go get the pedicures, and they took a picture of us sitting in the salon chairs, and I'll try to post that with this video so you can see it. But this is the most weight I've ever weighed, and you can tell. I just looked like a marshmallow man. That's how I felt too. I felt bloated. So we get our pedicures, we go eat Panera, which I wasn't very hungry, but went and saw Cinderella. I do remember that I drank one of those ices, like a blue raspberry or something, and not a little one, the big one. You get, you can't see my hands in here, the 32 ounce. And I remember drinking that during the show because I was so thirsty. And for the last few days, that's all I was doing, was trying to sip on drinks and then up peeing. And I just figured that's the dehydration. So we go to the movie, and on top of everything else and getting the drug test from my employer, they also said you're due for your annual tuberculosis test, which is the little skin test. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, so I was going to go to urgent care and get that done. Well, I was feeling so lousy after the movie, I figured I'm just going to see the doctor. So I go to urgent care, and they take me in the back, and I leave a urine specimen, and they get my vitals. Well, had 103 fever. And my urine obviously was showing leukocytes, which means infection. But the doctor comes in and tells me, did you know that you're dumping 500 of glucose in your urine? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I've never been told I was diabetic, although I'm on metformin for PCOS. Funny story. So that was before I had a hysterectomy. But because after my hysterectomy I was still on metformin, I asked them, can I come off of that? And they're like, well, you have metabolic syndrome. And, for the little hair on your chin that you keep getting, I hate those too. Those little whiskers that you get under there, it just drives me nuts. But anyway, so they just upped my metformin when my hemoglobin A1C a year ago was 7.4, which is slightly above normal. But really don't remember anybody telling me, by the way, you're type 2 diabetic. No, I think I would have remembered that. I am a nurse. So this year, here I am passing a kidney stone, but now I've got sugar in my urine. Not normal, unless you're diabetic. But this doctor, she didn't bother to do anything else. She didn't stick my finger and say, okay, let's check your blood sugar. No, she gave me Cipro and sent me on my way with 103 fever. So I went and I filled the Cipro, and I came home, and I started taking the medicine. I started drinking and peeing, drinking and peeing. I did this all night long, and I figured by the next day, on Sunday, I should feel better. Well, and that's what should happen, honestly, but it didn't. So I was feeling worse, and here it is Sunday night, and I'm just, not good, not in a good shape. So they always say, tell us your most embarrassing moment. You ever had somebody ask you that question? Yeah. Well, here's mine. That Sunday night, my bedroom's pitch dark because I used to work nights at the hospital, and so I would sleep during the day. So my room is like pitch dark. And I don't have a nightlight on. And I've been sick. So, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess, about. I need to go to the bathroom. And I got my foot twisted in my sheets, and then I couldn't fill my nightstand, and I have a electric fireplace with my TV on it, and it's just right across from my bed, right next to the door to the bathroom. I couldn't fill any of that stuff. I'm searching and searching. My foot's caught, and I had to pee so bad. Well, needless to say, I did, and it wasn't in the bathroom. So I just put my butt right back into bed and went to sleep. There's Bella. That's my dog. The next morning, again, I'm up taking showers too to make myself feel better. And the next morning, I get in the shower. I'm so cold, I just want a hot shower to warm up. And, this is March. It's still cooler outside here in Kansas City. No snow, but I get in the shower, and I'm literally in what we call full rigor. And what is that? Rigor is when you are just uncontrollably shaking. And I'm taking the hottest shower my skin can tolerate, and I'm still shaking like a leaf. And I literally had this feeling, this ominous feeling come over me. I'm going to die. And not the, how we say, oh, I'm dying. We're just kidding around like we're sick and we don't feel good and we got pain. But this was a truly, I'm going to die if I don't get help moment. And it does make me teary because I was here by myself. And I thought, if I die, who's gonna find me? And that's a scary feeling. So anyway, I got out of the shower and dried off and threw on, a quick little maxi dress and came downstairs. And I locked the front door and I called 911. And I've never in my life had to call 911 for me. And so the EMS get here and, they check my blood pressure and put me on a sat monitor. My oxygen level is fine. And I tell them to take me to North Kansas City Hospital because that's where my sister works. And I knew I would have somebody there for me. So, sorry, it's hard to talk when you're crying. But anyway, so I get to North Kansas City Hospital in the ER, and they're asking me questions. I was so delusional, I couldn't even, tell them what meds I was on, what doses I took. And, they're doing blood cultures on me. They're sending me to CAT scan. I'm leaving urine specimens. And my sister's there with me. Thank God, because, I feel like it was hit and miss what I was doing or what I was hearing. And she was a real lifesaver for me. Anyway, so they sent me off to CAT scan and come back that I had 7 more kidney stones in my right kidney. So I was going to the OR. And my sister works in the OR, so she made it nice enough for me to be able to trust the person that was taking me in, Alan, and he did a wonderful job for me. And the urologist went in and they put a stent in me, and I had a cyst in my right kidney, and so they drained it and come back to find out that I was septic, and sepsis is a life-threatening condition, but that wasn't all. They came back and told me that my blood sugar was 741. Okay, so normal blood sugar, just so you, if you don't know, is like 70 to 100. So 741 is, put me in what they call DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, which again is also life-threatening. If your blood sugar is too high, you can have seizures, go into a coma, and die. And so, the Cipro they put me on was supposed to be helping, but honestly, they said my white blood count was as low as somebody on chemo. So I had no defense in my body going on, and the Cipro probably just made my blood sugar even higher, and of course that 32 ounces of ice didn't help, right? So, needless to say, I went to the ICU for 5 days on an insulin drip. They were sticking my finger every single hour. And, you're hooked up. You've got your sat monitor, your CR monitor, which is your heart rate and everything, and oxygen level. And at one point, I don't remember if I had oxygen on. I think I did. I had a Foley in. SCDs on my legs because I wasn't moving. And at this point, I was 303 pounds. The highest weight I've ever been. and sick. And I know that I was being pretty stoic until the point where the nurse came in and said, well, we're going to start giving you Lovenox. And I just lost it because I knew what Lovenox was. It's an anticoagulant, and they're shots they give you in your stomach to make sure that you're not going to throw a clot for not moving. And anyway, that was a long 5 days, needless to say, and my mother came up, and my sister was there for me, and, you know, lots of people were checking in, and, you know, I love my family for being there. But it was scary because now I'm diabetic. That's a lot of information at once. And, you know, as a nurse, I educate patients all the time, and until you're in their boat with them doing the same thing they're going through, you know, you just don't really understand it. You don't have as much empathy until you're dealing with it yourself. So I made it out of the ICU and to a regular floor, and I had a diabetic educator come in and start to explain to me what they expected me to do as far as controlling my blood sugars. You know, I was obviously sticking my finger 4 times a day and taking insulin, long-lasting and fast-acting, and telling me I should eat 45 to 60 carbs, not a day, no, a meal, plus 2 snacks. And if I went hypoglycemic and my blood sugar went too low, then I would eat a snack with more carbs. And, you know, I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, but, you know, later in the year when I decided I wanted to do something about this insulin, it just seems ludicrous to me that the ADA recommends basically 257 teaspoons of sugar a day because carbohydrate breaks to sugar, and that's what they're, recommending for diabetics. Anyway, so I got home from the hospital and a little overwhelmed, but my hemoglobin A1C when I got there was 11.4. That means that I had been walking around for 3 months at least with 280 to 300 blood sugar a day average, and didn't even know it. And I'm a nurse, so there's a lot of people probably that have diabetes that don't even know it if they're not getting seen by the doctor. And just another highlight, and I know this video is long, but I didn't have insurance. That bill was almost $100,000, and thank God for my mother, who used to do billing for KU. She's like, you need to get that paperwork done, and she helped me, and I was able to get some financial assistance with that bill, and then promptly had to go and get insurance on my own because my employer doesn't offer it until next year in January. And so here I am paying, you know, over $300 a month for insurance, but I can't afford to have a $100,000 bill. So it's either $300 a month or have a $100,000 bill, potentially. So anyway, so that's how my journey started in March, and this is October 25th. And so in August, I started having this epiphany that, you know, I'm going to be 50 in February, and I don't want to be on insulin, or I want to decrease the amount of insulin I'm taking, because I was taking 100 units a day, and my blood sugars were okay, but that has a lot of insulin, and insulin is a fat storing hormone, and I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get healthier and try to maybe do something about my health. So in August, I started looking on YouTube for some low-carb recipes because I knew that the one thing I needed to do was cut the carbohydrates. Anything white, rice, pasta, bread, sugar, cereal, and I was a cereal-holic, carboholic really, but I should have got a Kleenex, sorry. Anyway, so middle of August I go to the doctor. My hemoglobin A1C was 5.6, which is amazing. Really, really good. Because I had been trying. but not really the right way, but I'd been trying. And so after that doctor's appointment, I started doing the research, and I stumbled literally upon keto. And I was like, what's keto? And I knew about Atkins, but I'd never heard of the ketogenic lifestyle and or recipes or what it was. So I started doing research, and on August 28th is when I officially started eating ketogenic. And then it took me 3 weeks to get into ketosis just by dipping my urine. And so currently, this is week 8 of keto, even though I started in March, with my weight at 303, and in August I was down to like 288. I had lost roughly 15 pounds, but starting August 28th until now, I'm down 45 total. But most of my weight has come from being on a ketogenic diet. So 5 more pounds and I'm at 50. Yay! That's a blessing. But when I started this, it was not to lose weight. It was to reverse my diabetes. I came across Dr. Jason Fung, who's a nephrologist, a kidney doctor, and he had a seminar on YouTube that I watched, and he was talking about insulin and how insulin actually makes diabetes worse. Insulin does not treat diabetes. It treats the side effect of hyperglycemia, which is the high blood sugars. And the insulin, over time, you have to use more and more and more, and it does less, because if you're diabetic, you're insulin resistant. And so why are we treating diabetics with something they're resistant to with insulin? Doesn't make sense. And I started to think, wow, maybe I can actually reverse my type 2 diabetes. And so I kept watching him, and then I came across Dr. Westman, and then I came across Dr. Eric Berg, and I love his videos because they're easy to understand. And I just started researching and looking at recipes. I came across people that had been successful doing it, and I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And I started that mission, and literally I have not been on insulin since the 15th of October, because I had some high fasting blood sugars that made me nervous, 200 and a couple almost 200s. So I did take insulin. I wish I hadn't have, because I know now if I would have just exercised, I would have burned that off and I wouldn't have needed the insulin. So what do I do today? I eat 1,400 calories a day. I have my macros set at 5% carbs, 20% protein, the rest in fat, and still lose weight. I make sure and drink my 64 ounces of fluids. I do intermittent fasting. I only eat from noon to 8 p.m. I fast the other 16 days. I do that every day. And not religiously. I mean, there might be an hour here and there, depending on my schedule, that doesn't work. But generally speaking, that's what I do. And then I'm going to incorporate now for sure, moving forward, the burst training, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. When I'm in a fasting state, I'll burst train and then not train the next day. And what that does is it burns that sugar up, and then I'll eat to get myself out of fasting. And generally speaking, from my experiment, in 2 hours, my blood sugar will drop down into a more normal range. And I anticipate that my hemoglobin A1C next month will probably be under 7. I just don't know where it's going to fall, because I did have some high fasting blood sugars because I was fasting and I was pulling that extra sugar out. I'm trying to reverse my insulin levels so that if I ever do have to use insulin again, it works better. So also the fat loss is better with the burst training, and it's a lot less time than what I was doing before, which was I was walking 3 times a week, 35 minutes on the treadmill, and doing some resistance training for my arms. But why do that if I can stay here at my house and I can burst train and I'm done and it's effective? I'm not a gym junkie. I don't really, I know exercise makes you feel better and all that stuff. I'm not that person, not right now. I'm still heavy. I have bad knees. I've had arthroscopic surgery on both of my knees before. So anyway, All right, so that's kind of my story. I love my family for being there for me. Sorry I was a crybaby earlier, but when it's your life, and you're in a tragic situation, it happens. So hope this may inspire you to also know that if you're diabetic, don't be hopeless and feel like it's chronic and for the rest of your life, because I feel like I'm reversing mine right now and I feel great, and the losing weight is just a bonus. So I'm hoping to be fit-er at 50 instead of fatter at 50. So, love you guys. Keep doing great. Get inspired. Do your research. Figure out what works for your body and what makes you feel healthy and gets you where you want to go. Bye.